Hello, and welcome to my channel, Detroit Poker. Take two. Oh, hey. Take number three. What's up? Welcome back to the channel, Detroit Poker. In this video, we are going to be talking about poker etiquette. So we're going to get into that. But before we do, if you like poker related content, hand analysis, I even have an entire video series on how to beat 1-2 no limit hold'em. You should definitely consider subscribing to the channel and ring the bell so you don't miss any of my uploads. Let's get into the video about poker etiquette. All right, the first thing on the list of questionable poker etiquette is talking during a hand when you're not involved. The first example that I can think of to illustrate this questionable poker etiquette is, let's say, for example, two opponents have reached the showdown and one of those opponents has his cards on the table and he has pocket queens on this board right here. The other opponent may be deliberating on whether to show his cards down. You know, those few seconds after you put your cards down and you're waiting for your opponent to reveal whether or not he has a better hand than you do. When all of a sudden one of your table mates that is not involved in this hand whatsoever decides to weigh in on the issue. Yo, man, if you got an 8, you make a straight, man. Yeah. And then, of course, once this guy says this, you can only guess what's going to happen next. Oh, of course. I do have an 8. And that will usually be followed with something like this from the guy that's holding the pocket queens.
Oh, this is bullshit. What the f?
Now, in case you're new to poker and you don't understand why this isn't cool, a lot of people that say these things at the poker table, in my experience, have no idea that it's a breach in like poker etiquette and poker rules. And generally, it has to be explained to them. Basically, there's a rule called one player to a hand. This means there can only be one player to a hand. You can't look at someone else's hand and tell them what to do. This is obvious, but it doesn't become so obvious in situations like this. This guy that's holding the 8-3 offsuit might not know that an 8 makes a straight. Even though it might be obvious to you, it might not be obvious to him. And I've seen people muck winners before because they're showing me their cards, but they don't put the cards on the table. So one player to a hand means exactly that. If this guy doesn't table his cards on his own accord, it's pretty obvious that you shouldn't be doing this at a poker table. But nevertheless, I probably see it once a month. All right, the next item on the list is excessive celebrating at the poker table. Somewhere pretty much on any poker table, any given day, someone is doing this. Let's just say you're at the poker table and you show down your hand on the river and you show down your hand and you're not sure if it's good and your opponent lets you know pretty quickly.
Yeah! Yeah! Woo!
Obviously, you're not going to be very popular if you decide to do this at poker tables, but that doesn't stop people. When you win a big pot, someone else is losing a big pot. So what makes you happy makes another person unhappy. So I just think it's more classy to just kind of like scoop the pot and don't say anything. Just keep your mouth shut. So yeah. The next item on the list of questionable poker etiquette, which probably should have been listed first, but it's whatever. These are in no particular order, is going south. I will define it very briefly for you. If you're sitting at a poker table and you take money off of your stack and put it into your pocket, that's going south. I've been playing poker for a while and I've seen this more than a handful of times. Some people think that it's perfectly okay to just win a pot and start stuffing money in their pocket and save it for later. I've seen people do this before with absolutely zero intention of hiding the fact that they're doing it. And obviously, it doesn't get very far. Usually the dealer or one of the other players will call them out and be like, yo, man, what are you doing? Like, it usually goes something like that. So the second way that people will do this is they'll try to be sly about it. I've actually seen people do this before where they'll just be sitting there and just kind of like real sneakily take 100 or 2 or 3 right off their stack and put it in their pocket and hope no one notices. For obvious reasons, this is not allowed in the game of poker. Let's see what you think. Put it in the comments below what you think about going south. Number 4 is complaining about losing and just being a negative Nancy in general. You've seen the type. They get all their money in with way the best hand, and they end up losing to some guy that sucks out with a flush draw, and they'll generally behave a little bit something like this.
Why do I even bother? Come down here, wait for 3 hours, flop top set, and lose to some asshole with queen 5 suited. Like, very well played, sir.
Anyone with an earshot has to listen to them moan about their terrible luck or whatever. You know the type. They're at poker tables frequently. Generally, if you act like this at a poker table, you're just going to kind of ruin everybody's fun. You're going to ruin the mood. People don't want to hear this shit. Like, it's just unproductive. So, like, if you honestly feel like this, number 1, I would just say don't talk about it with people. Just keep it to yourself. And number 2, I would seriously consider, like, working on, yourself and your emotions and how you view the world. Believe it or not, I used to be like this, but I never really voiced it because I was an introvert and I kept it to myself, but I was very negative like this, and I'm still fighting negative behavior like this to this day, but I've improved my mindset quite a bit, and it wasn't easy, but it's just unproductive. Whatever. People just don't want to hear this shit, so... All right. Let me know in the comments if you have any opinions about any of the etiquette issues that I've listed in this video. Lately, I've been trying to improve my content, and I don't know what happened. I kind of got a bunch of creative energy, and I decided to start doing caricatures or role play, or whatever you want to call that. And that blue sweater that I wore used to belong to my grandfather, and that sweater is probably in excess of 40 years old. So it was nice to actually find something to use it for. The hat. The hat came from my grandfather too. Just a little tidbit for you. Anyways, definitely head over to the website, detroitpoker.net, and check that out if you haven't done so already. And lastly, you should definitely subscribe to the channel if you like my content and you want to see more of it. And don't forget to ring the bell, and you'll get notifications every time I upload new content. So I'll see you in the next video. Take it easy.
Yeah! Yeah!